So,
Mhm.
somewhere it shows that there is a resilience in the overall market, and even though
Okay.
a lot of negative news is flowing in, market is seems to be more ready for looking out for any
Hmm.
stability in terms of geopolitical front to
Right.
probably run its course again. So we
Okay.
maintain our bullish bias overall, and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so sir is having a bullish bias on overall market. Sir, I would like to know more about India VIX because as we can see, the India VIX is currently falling. So there are so many news that is happening globally as well. So, but we can see in the India VIX, the fear is slowly it is melting down. So, what is your view on volatility of the market?
Yeah, so see, negative, reduction in volatility coincides with, if you see, market has been largely range bound. Nifty
Right.
hasn't moved in either of the direction too much, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been 200, 300 point range largely. I mean, between what, 550 to 25,000 today.
Right.
So of course, volatility has dried up. It's a sideways consolidation zone, absorbing
Mm-hmm.
the negative news as well as a lot of run up we had since April.
Right.
So it's only fair. I think we have to see which side it breaks out.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, uh, once it sort of breaks out on either of the side, we will see volatility also rising up.
Perfect, sir. Perfect. So, sir, right now we can see Nifty and Bank Nifty, we are having a good momentum since morning. So, are you having any trade on Nifty or in Bank Nifty right now?
No, right now I will not take any trade because I'll look for the breakout of this range which has been ongoing. I
Okay.
mean for the entire month of June. So while it has
Mm-hmm.
of course shown a good movement today, and in fact if you see Nifty has again sort of after spending a lot of time on 20 DMA, it has
Right.
risen up, right? So
Hmm.
but the last swing high of 25,200.
Hmm.
From where we see that fall after Israel-Iran war, that is still
Yes.
to be taken out. So
Okay.
I'll sort of wait for this range to break out once, and a lot of, in fact, even if you see the options data, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of call build up as well as put build up on 25,000 strike. Uh,
Exactly.
so it shows that I mean both sides are fighting for taking control, and
Right.
I guess once the range break out, it will sort of confirm a more medium side trend as to where we see the market going.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So, 25,200 can be a very good resistance for Nifty. Sir, if we'll talk about the support of Nifty, so what is your level for the support?
Uh, s- so again, I mean the range wise, if you see
Mm-hmm.
24,500 and
Okay.
25,200, this is the range which Nifty has maintained over last 1 month, 1.5 month, right?
Right. Right.
So I think breakout of this range will give us a positional sort of trade either on the long side or on the
Hmm.
short side. And in fact, 25,500 is also close to the gap which I mentioned earlier, which was 9th May to 12th May, right?
Well,
So that
right.
that was a huge gap after after the Indo-Pak war was
Mm-hmm.
we had the ceasefire.
Right.
So it has held that gap as well, and all the negative news subsequently is absorbed above these levels.
Okay.
So yeah, so on the downside 25,500 and on the upside 24,500, sorry, and 25,200. That's the medium term range which we have.
Perfect, perfect. So we talked about the resistance and support for Nifty. Coming on Bank Nifty, sir. So what will be the levels for Bank Nifty as support and resistance?
So Bank Nifty again, if you see after some bit of correction, it has again
Hmm.
taken support at 20 DMA. 20
All
DMA
right.
holds right now at what,
Hmm.
55,770. So that can be a short term support, and then
Okay.
50 DMA is 54,720.
All right.
So yeah, these could be two support levels we can look at.
Okay, perfect. So sir has given us support and resistance for Nifty and Bank Nifty. Sir, coming on to sectors, what are your views on sectors and which are the sectors you are looking in bullish side or in bearish side?
So, see, within, of course, these were the larger indices, but within this,
Hmm.
if you look at PSU banks
Okay.
index, and which I mentioned in my last, discussion
Hmm.
with you guys,
All right.
I remain quite positive on that. And
Hmm.
if you see a lot of stocks, the larger stocks, PNB, Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, they showed a good rally over last 2-3 weeks, and
Yes.
of course, after that, they have given a correction.
Hmm.
I somewhere see that I mean fundamentally as well, plus technically as well, they're at very strong
Okay.
support levels in holding the moving averages and slowly picking up that momentum. So,
Right.
and since I mean the participation of retail has been quite low over last few months, so I see
Yes.
that any positive trigger on these banks will sort of give them a necessary momentum. So this is a sector
Okay.
which to watch out for.
Okay, perfect. So, public sector bank is the sector to watch for, and you can keep this sector on radar. Sir, I want to ask a question from you. Actually, on 17th June, we had FOMC meet, and Fed rates has been discussed there, and overall, the Fed rates had been sustained at 4.2 to 4.5 level. So, what effect are you expecting on finance and banking sector of this Fed rates, capped, sustained at 4.25 and 4.5%?
See, US is going to through a very different problem of its own. I mean, on one hand, they have
Right.
a treasury bond problem, and on the
Mm-hmm.
other side, they have a currency problem.
Right.
So, so somewhere I think, of course, Fed is not able to take a definitive call as to reduce the interest rate or keep it at the same levels, because
Mm-hmm.
somewhere they fear that a reduction in interest rate at this level is still not giving them the comfort that the inflation will be under
Hmm.
control, or it will
Right.
not sort of set inflation expectations too high. Uh,
Hmm.
India, on the other hand, somewhere have that leeway, because at least the growth trajectory, the investment cycle has been pretty conducive. So reduction in interest rates leads to creating supply side
Mm-hmm.
sort of push, and
Right.
therefore the chances of having inflation due to lack of supply and high demand is relatively within control, I would say. But
Okay.
yes, I think now that RBI has aggressively reduced the rate over last 6 months, somewhere
Right.
we will probably see them taking a pause um, in the coming meet.
Okay.
So I guess US Fed rate should not impact too much
Hmm.
for us in the short term at least.
Okay, okay, so perfect. So we talked on few data points globally. Let's come on to stocks of FNO, and sir, particularly talking about stocks. So, is there any stock that is in your radar for intraday or for the positional terms?
So I will not, as I said, so I will not specifically recommend some trade here, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean within PSU Bank Index, I mean anybody interested can keep track of these larger names, PNB, Bank of Baroda, and Canada.
Okay. Okay, so sir, I have another question for you. As you
Hmm.
talked about, the war that has been going between the Iran and Israel. So there has been so much escalation globally between the countries, and many more things coming up right now. So, talking on a larger scale, how you are watching out these news for example, like if the Nifty can go more in the bullish direction, or because of this news, it can impact the market, and are you looking overall the Indian markets in various direction?
Yeah, see, so if you see, I mean, last 2 3 years, we
Hmm.
have these kind of the wars between a couple of countries cropping up out of nowhere. We had
Right.
Russia Ukraine 2 years back. We had India Pakistan last year, which
Hmm.
was in fact directly affecting us, right? And now we
Right.
have Israel Iran. Uh,
Hmm.
but in most of these cases, uh, see, somewhere I think both the sides also know that beyond a point, nobody wants to escalate.
Right.
And generally, if you see in the first couple of days of war, when it happens, the
Hmm.
market shows I mean, pretty negative reaction. After
Hmm.
that, it's largely the absorption of that news which is already there without seeing much price correction. And that has been
Hmm.
the trend, almost, behavior of the markets in all these cases.
Right.
And unless, uh, see, as I said, none of the countries will want to escalate beyond a point. So unless there
Hmm.
is actually very unexpected kind of event happens, which
Hmm.
sort of throws it out of control completely, I think the base case is it's only fair that we assume the base case of it not escalating out of control, and since the negative news is absorbed, so I do not see sort of much worse
Okay.
happening. But yes,
Okay.
nobody can predict after a point. So
Right,
And
right.
secondly, I mean, one more thing, if you see somewhere, I think
Mhm,
US seems to have be the epicenter of, at least some of
mhm.
these negative impacts happening. So
Right.
Trump comes into picture. So
Hmm.
whether it is tariff war, whether it is actual physical
Right.
war, somewhere he's at the center. And
Mhm.
his behavior so far has been he likes to create news, but then at some point he himself will rein it in, and suddenly everything will look quite bullish, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I do not see it going beyond a point, but let's see. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Sir, actually, you talked about the reciprocal rate. So, when Trump actually implemented this reciprocal rate, so at that time we saw that the India VIX increased so rapidly, and now there was a 90 days pause period, and slowly we are coming to an end of this 90 days pause period. So, are you expecting that the fear can again rise in the market, or the market has already digested this news?
Somewhere market has already digested to the extent that they
Okay,
know that Trump will not take it beyond a point. I mean,
all right.
in case of to what 140% tariffs. I mean, and then
Mhm.
suddenly everything now seems normal, right? So
Hmm.
that behavior is now factored in. So even if
Hmm.
Trump makes some random comment, which seems absolutely unrealistic and absurd,
Mhm.
people know that they have to just give it time, and most likely things will come to senses again. So
Okay,
to that extent, it is not a surprise anymore.
all right, all right.
His erratic behavior. So I think even if a bit of short term to and fro happens again on the tariff side,
Mhm.
I do not think the reaction will be too strong from the market to
All right.
see it too negatively.
Okay, okay, perfect. So, sir, actually, we talked a lot on global data, and when we see, when we talk about global scenario and anything what happens globally, so it impact the IT sector directly or indirectly, right? So, any views on IT sector, like how it will move in the upcoming near future?
So see, IT is one sector which is sort of lagging behind in terms of technical signals as far as
Mm-hmm.
some of the other sectors concerned. But yes, it
Right.
seems to be forming a base. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the Infi, the overall index. But if you see, it
Mm-hmm.
still is at least some of the indexes and some of the key stocks are still below their key DMA levels,
Mm-hmm.
200. In fact, I think Infi is still below its 200 DMA level. So,
Okay.
so I'll probably wait for some momentum to pick there,
Mm-hmm.
at least break their uh, levels and show some sort of upside before taking a
Okay.
position in. But yes, they are
Okay, sir.
forming a consolidation, so probably a lot of negative
Mm-hmm.
side of things are again factored in.
Correct, sir. Correct. So, sir, considering all of this data, one should be looking out for defensive stock, or one should be going for a cyclic stock at this scenario.
No, I think one can take a bet on good fundamental stocks which are starting to show momentum. I do not
Okay.
think it is. Uh, uh, we are in a phase where it is needed to be too conservative. If
Right. Right.
there is a stock one believes in, I mean, in terms of at least from the investment perspective,
Exactly.
he can take a few years of views. Yes, no need to
Okay.
be too
Perfect.
conservative. No. Yeah.
Right. Right. So, sir, at the end, it was an amazing discussion with you. I would like to know any advice for the traders who wants to trade in this market condition. So, any advice from your side?
So I'll, if at all, I think traders should stick to probably right now range bound strategies till the time it breaks
Okay.
on the either side, instead
Mm-hmm.
of committing on one of the sides and trying to predict the market.
Right.
So while we have our bias, but I mean, trade execution requires a lot of nuances where unnecessarily taking committing on the either
Mm-hmm.
side. And since because the news flow is quite uh, I mean, it can be quite positive, it can be quite negative. So
Right.
taking committing on one of the sides can be slightly risky at this point. So
Okay.
I'll wait for the range to break out.
Okay, so we will wait for the range to get broken out. Sir, at the end, I would like to know your disclaimer on anything that we have discussed here. So, do you have any disclaimer?
Yeah, so the stock name which I mentioned in PSU Bank, it's not a
Mm-hmm.
recommendation, but yeah, something
Okay.
which investors can track, and we do not have any position in any of the stock named.
Okay, perfect. So, sir, thank you so much again for joining us on Quantsapp TV. It was indeed an amazing discussion with you, and not only about the trades and about the stock, but you connected the global points as well. So, thank you so much for that. And मैं expect कर रहा हूँ कि आप again हमें join करेंगे. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me. Thanks.